which one you want to run or something like that. I just got done beating the fuck out of Madokism. So like, which one?
Let's just like do quest for a second.
Alright, I'll just choose Superman. My proposition is that he doesn't lose, and via the position he doesn't lose is gonna be that he's above metaphysical necessities or metaphysical necessary existences. He's above that.
He doesn't lose because he's above necessary metaphysical existence.
I said metaphysically necessary existences. He's above that.
I mean, what's necessarily metaphysical existence in this context?
In this context, metaphysically necessary existence refer to something that's truth no matter the outcome. So it's going to be a factor of truth. Because it's a necessary attribute to some... A possibility? What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
It's a possibility, basically.
No, it's basically true no matter what. It's basically metaphysically necessary. For something to be necessary, that means it's going to necessitate something to become true. So basically, by the necessary existence, it's going to be true. That's not like a possibility. A possibility goes upon probability because basically possibility is going to be contingent upon a probability. What I'm saying is that it's going to be true no matter what the outcome. Therefore, it's going to be above a probability because a probability also asserts that it can have a false and truth outcome. Via basic propositional logic, is going to have T and F. If we assert something's going to be more probable or less probable, we have to justify give substance as to why. That's basically probability or prescriptive scenarios which give more probable, or in this context, what you're trying to argue, your negation is basically going to be like not likely. So basically, it's going to be above the said thing which is possible. Which possibility I already explained is contingent upon our probability to be actualized. Basically, metaphysically necessary existences are true no matter what. So it's basically going to have the truth value no matter what.
So basically, he's like above all truth values, basically. So like he's an impossible being.
Impossible being. Being above truth. That's not okay. Define what impossible is. Define what impossible is.
Possible, like it's like the opposite of something possible.
Okay, so therefore that would have a probability. It's not impossible because something's always going to be true. So for metaphysically necessary existences, it's always going to be true. What'd you say? What'd you say?
You're basically saying even something impossible can also be. That's basically what you're saying.
Hold on. Justify why I'm saying this. Give substance as to how I'm saying this. That isn't necessarily what I'm saying. You're just trying to assert something.
Substance in your context, just so I can make sure.
What'd you say? Your mic is cutting out.
What's substance in your context, just so I can like make sure.
Justify an obligation as to what I'm asserting, because you should already know what substance is going on, considering you're going to be going on litigation.
No, I just want to know the context. That's all.
Okay, so is there an obligation?
I mean, I just want to know the context.
Okay, but is there an obligation? I'm asking what the obligation is going to be. Clarify what the obligation is going to be. Do you not have an obligation? Is there no obligation?
I mean, I could say like maybe. Wait, let me think.
By the way, before you do address that real quick, basically you were trying to say Superman's an impossible being. That's not necessarily true because even if you're above a truth, the truth is just going to be an ontological aspect to you. So you could still go under truthful like existences or like say for an example like an exom. It's just going to be an ontological aspect of you, or basically the truth is contingent upon you because you are above that said thing. It's basically contingent upon your will. So since you're above this necessary existence, the truth will rely on you, as it can't affect you, nor can a false value affect you.
Wait.
Therefore,
So you're basically saying he's above truth.
well, you're cutting me off. You're cutting me off. You're cutting.
I'm getting your point. So you're basically saying he's like above truth. He's like above necessity. That's basically your.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's above truth, but the truth will exist as an ontological aspect. If it's an ontological aspect, that means the truth is going to be a part of his nature. He's not above truth. It's a part of his nature, which is contingent upon. No, the truth is contingent upon him.
But he's also like one with truth.
Hold on.
Wait,
he has false. He can have false. What'd you say?
You're saying he's false?
I'm not saying he's false. No, I did not assert that. What I'm asserting is that. No, I did not. Oh, okay, actually, go prove that. Go prove I said that. Go prove I said that. Go justify that. Justify how I said that. Give substance.
Okay, so my proposition is basically that you said he's like
no. Before we get your proposition, I asked for you to justify that. Stop trying to evade the questioning. Justify how I said that. You are evading the question. I just asked you to justify how I said that. I asked you to justify how I said that. How about you prove that I said that? Stop trying to evade the questioning. I put that into question. Yes, you just did. You're trying to move on to your proposition. Justify how I said that.
I'm moving on to the proposition of you saying that he's false. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm not like evading the question or anything.
By the way, if you're just gonna assert that as a proposition, you do know propositions has F and T. So just because you didn't give a justification for how that is, we could just go. We could just lean on that it's gonna be more probable that I didn't say this because there's no justification yet. If you're just gonna assert that as a proposition, how is that just gonna justify or prove it?
That he's false. That's basically your assertion.
No, my position and assertion was that he's above metaphysically necessary existences. And before you cut me off and didn't let me explain, what I was saying is that the false truth and the objective truth is going to be an ontological aspect of Superman, not necessarily that he is a false being.
So he's true and false at the same time.
I'm saying that they are part of his nature.
Like, real quick. He's false and true at the same time. That's basically what you're saying.
Hold on. You do know, going based on this logic real quick, that these propositions have T and F, right? So that's basically saying that a proposition can be true and false. That's literally what I'm asserting. So, but all propositions are gonna be an ontological aspect of Superman. It depends on his will and existence.
So he's like proposition.
So we can assert the Also, real quick, what did you say?
So you're basically saying he's like a proposition that's like true and false. That's basically what you're saying.
All propositions have true and false. What are you talking about? Except like exons, which are obviously true. All propositions have a T and F value. They go upon like prescriptive scenarios to justify something. Like that's literally the totality of what rationalism is. Reasoning and justification. That's how we get to the truth value of a proposition. So we'd have to reason why Superman would fall under the T value of his ontological aspect of nature. And since he is above said truth, it's more likely that the truth of defeat or something like that wouldn't rely on him. So we could also say that the assertion of him losing will also just be false. Because it's a part of his nature and it depends on him. It's contingent upon him.
Yeah, what you're arguing right now really just sounds like illogicality, basically. You're just saying
illogicality. Okay. Go justify it. Go justify how I'm arguing illogicality. How am I justifying?
What you're asserting right now is that basically he's true and false at the same time, as all propositions can also be true and false. And you're saying they're like
that's basically like saying that all propositions would be illogical. So you're basically saying that your proposition that you asserted would be illogical as well because
all propositions are illogical.
You're saying that propositions have. I'm saying going on. Listen to me when I'm speaking.
Like a significant.
Nigga. What I'm saying is that you were trying to put into question that I would be illogical. So you said that since propositions have T and F, I'm gonna go over assumptions because we do have a justification for that too. The substance is that you asserting that if we go by my Superman logic. And we apply that to propositions since T and F have all of that. Propositions have values of T and F. if you're gonna go by that, we could just say by this logic, it's gonna go under the mining of well, logicality. All propositions are not illogical. That'd be like saying
I
that.
never asserted they are. Wait,
Okay,
let
but I'm
me make
saying
myself clear.
go under this logic. I'm not
Wait,
positing that you are saying this.
Job, let me talk. I'm basically saying that, like, you're asserting that all propositions are true and false. I said that that's like illogical because as that would mean both true and false propositions and claims would also be like true at the same time. I never said that like a single proposition is like illogical. I never said that.
By the way, that's a tracking error. By the way, I said that propositions have T and F value.
Justify that. How is it backtracking? Justify it.
Because what I asserted is that all propositions have a T and F value except exons.
Okay,
You
so
are claiming that I said that they both.
all propositions
Yo,
are true and
stop trying to
false.
overtalk me. What I'm saying is that
What?
what I'm saying, you asked me to justify it. Stop trying to cut me off and let me justify that.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, what I asserted is that all propositions have a T and F value. You're basically asserting that I said that all propositions are true and false. So basically, what my conclusion is going off on rational conclusion. What the rational conclusion I'm coming off is based upon a rational observation made for me. I'm observing the truth and false values. They have a value, which means it goes under a prescriptive scenario of probability. So something is going to be more likely or not likely. So basically, they both have a logical outcome to lean more towards each option. So, for example, if we justify why said insert proposition would go towards the F value or truth value, we'd be basically saying it's more likely and justify giving reason to why this would be the case. So basically provides rational conclusion for why this value would be over that said thing within the proposition. I'm not saying that all propositions are true and false. I'm saying it goes on a more probable scope and possibility more than they are both at the same time, because both of them would just be paradoxical. You can't say that one answer is true, then the other answer is true as well. Since the proposition involves negation and positive as well. So I justify why this would be a tracking error because you misinterpreted what I said. We could say that's a straw man by misinterpreting what I inserted. You're basically just going off that.
Wait. To get like your point across, are you saying that all propositions are true and false, or are you saying that like each singular like propositions are like true and false, not all of them?
All of them. Oh my God, I'm saying that they both have a truth and false value. I'm not saying that they are true and false at the same time. I'm saying more likely one is over the other if we give reasoning and justification for the totality of said proposition. That's what I'm saying.
Can you repeat yourself again? Just so I can like remember your point.
Yeah,
You're
what I'm
basically saying
saying is,
that like with reasoning, a proposition can be like above the other. That's basically what you're saying.
okay, stop presupposing my argument and hear me out. What I'm saying is that both have a truth and false value. If we give
both of them are true and false?
Okay, you want me to repeat myself or no? Because you keep cutting me off.
I just heard you correctly. You just said that both of them have a true and false value.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be both true and false at the same time. What are you talking about? What I'm trying to say is that both have a probability, and if we give rational reasoning and justification for which one would be more likely, then we could say one would be more likely than the other. A proposition goes off probability through rational observations and conclusions with substance behind them. I'm not asserting that they would be both at the same time. It has a value, yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be true and false at the same time. One value is going to be more than the other, and we need to justify why that would be the case. You're done, by the way. You can go.
Okay, I'm back. What did you say?
Be right back.
Yeah, I just came back. What did you say? You cannot talk.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, what I was saying is that both have a truth and false value. That doesn't necessarily mean they're both going to be true and false at the same time. One has a value that will top of the other if we give rational reasoning and justification to complete the totality of said proposition and probability to it. So one's going to be more likely than the other to be the case.
Okay,
So one
okay,
would be
I'm
over
getting
the
your point
other
now.
within logical
One is
reasoning.
true and the other is false. That's basically what you're saying.
That's a false value. If we could justify why it would, oh my god. Basically, what I'm saying is,
Uh-huh.
man, you
Mm-hmm.
keep making me repeat myself, man. Can you
No,
even hear
no,
me
no,
right?
I heard you. Yeah, I heard you. I heard you.
Basically, what
So
I'm
you're
saying
basically
is,
saying that a proposition can be both true and false. Like one proposition is true and the other is false. That's basically what you're saying.
repeat that. Repeat that. I wasn't here. Sorry.
So you're basically saying that there is like a true proposition and a false proposition. That's basically what you're saying, and that
No,
one can
I'm
be more true
saying
than the other with
no,
reasoning.
no. I'm saying that a proposition will have a false and truth value. I'm not saying one will be like true and the other is false. I'm saying both have a value. If we give rational reasoning and justification
Yes, one can
behind
be
it,
more likely than the other. That's
the
basically
value
what
will
you're
be
saying.
over
I
the
get
other.
it. Well,
But you were just questioning me about it. What the hell you mean you get it, bro? You keep making me repeat myself.
I just want to get your point. Like, just want to make sure. Okay, so you're basically saying one proposition is false and the other is true. And with reasoning,
Not
one
asserting
can be
one
more
would be
likely
true
than.
over the other. I'm saying if we give or rational reasoning and justification, we could say a value will be more than the other within a proposition. Each proposition will have a truth and false value. If we give justification on why value is over the other, like say for X is like truth and Y would have to be the reasoning, we could say if the Y applies to the X and we give that justification, the X value over the other will be more likely the case. I'm not saying one is true and the other is false. It has a value, but we need to give a conclusion and evidence and justification for why one is more likely than the other. I'm saying the value of it. A value is distinct from a literal proposition. A value is like two different things.
Mhm.
They're two different things. They're not a totality together. They're distinct within each other. A value is a part of a proposition and contingent. Well, a proposition would be contingent upon a value, but the proposition itself is different from said value that exists. They are distinct. They don't make up a totality.
Okay, so I heard you, and yeah, I guess I agree with that explanation of what a proposition is, I guess. Okay, so
What'd
then
you say?
again,
Wait,
how does
hold on.
this
What'd you
like
say? What'd you say?
Superman
Repeat
exactly?
that.
I agree with your like explanation of what a proposition is. Like I agree, but how does this exactly help Superman?
What I'm asserting is that false and truth is basically an ontological aspect of him and doesn't necessarily matter. He's above all probability that would be, say, if a truth value asserts that something is going to be more likely the case. Like, for example, your character over my character, that probability won't even matter to him because he's above that. Basically, Superman will be above that said probability and still win no matter what.
I'm in the thick of
Okay, so he can basically like manipulate like truth values. That's basically what you're arguing.
I'm saying he
Like
manipulates that. I'm saying, like, do you know what contingent means?
yeah.
Contingent is something basically like dependent on something. I'm saying truth and false is like an ontological aspect. It's not necessarily like contingent. What I'm saying is that these, like, it's just an ontological aspect. It's an ontological property of him. These truth and false values don't matter to him because he's above the metaphysical necessary existence of which they pertain to a truth. So no matter what the outcome, he's above that said truth, and therefore a probability won't matter to him. There's no probability that will ever matter to Superman. Even if you say like a truth value of your character winning is over, Superman will be above that probability and still win. It's like absolute victory.
So, like, just to make stuff clear and to make your idea come across, are you arguing that like he's illogical, or are you arguing that he's like the totality of logic?
No,
Like
I'm not
which
even
one?
arguing. I'm not even arguing that he's any of those. But just for like clarification, real quick, you do know like illogicality is like a logically conceivable concept. Anyways, what I'm arguing is that truth and false values are an ontological aspect of Superman, since he's above them, and therefore the probability will not matter to him. So Superman will still be above that said probability and possibility of your character winning within a proposition and truth value of that. Even if we give rational like evidence, reasoning, and justification on why Superman's gonna be above all that reasoning and still win. He just negates that factor.
So it's above like possibility and like truth values and all of that stuff.
Finally, you got it. You got it. Because the truth and false values are an ontological property. They don't necessarily matter. Superman's above them, so they won't really apply to him. So he still just wins.
That's literally just illogicality.
That isn't illogicality. What are you
You're
talking about? That's
arguing
not
that he's
illogicality.
above truth values and possibility.
I'm
Like
saying.
that's just
Also,
illogicality.
wait. Justify why truth values are like being above truth values would be illogical. Justify that. Justify that. Also,
You're asking me
how is
why
being
truth
how is
values
being
are
above
illogical.
prop? Hold on. Basically, by
Because
your logic,
your
yo.
entire
Basically,
explanation
by
is
your
that truth
logic,
values are a main
by your
aspect
logic,
of propositions. Propositions are like what necessities are what forms like possible worlds in logic.
possible
So
words
being
mean
above them
necessities.
would mean
So basically,
illogicality.
also by the way, real quick.
Okay,
Oh,
what?
I fucking got it. Hold on, I'll be back.
Okay.
I'm back. Okay, real quick, I asked you to justify why fucking now you got me sidetracked.
Okay.
Why would
Like I was basically saying that like truth values are like a main aspect and like an attribute of propositions. Propositions and necessities are like what forms possible worlds. Worlds which is like logic. So being above them would mean illogicality.
that isn't really like a logicality. Like, I'll
Like,
explain real quick. Even being above truth isn't really necessarily like a logical thing. Even if we do assert that it's like illogical, you do know logicality is a logically conceivable concept, right?
how is illogicality logical conceivable? Can you
Okay, so
explain
it's
that?
logically conceivable. All right. Because it's literally comprehensible. Illogicality is nonsensical, but nonsensical is literally a description and logically comprehensible. It's basically a logical idea formed. Illogicality is basically like an idea formed from a logical basis. Therefore, it's basically contingent upon a logical thing that's going to be logically conceivable within a framework.
Wait. How did you come with that conclusion? How is it like logically conceivable? How is it like a logically formed idea?
Okay,
Can you
so
tell me why you think logic
you
is
agree that
right?
you wait, hold on, hold on. Do you agree that illogicality you could comprehend?
I mean, can you like imagine like let's say a person that's both like let's say black and white at the same time? Can you imagine someone like that?
Yeah, we can through ontological change. It's basically the nature of something changing. So we
Wait,
could
what did
say,
you say?
so we could basically say the change of skin color could just go undergo that through nature. That's still a logical, conceivable concept within a framework.
Wait, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. What did you say?
Instead, it can go through an ontological changing aspect. Ontology deals with the study of nature. Therefore, we could say by that natural
I'm not
aspect.
saying that it's like changing like between the two colors. I'm saying that it's both white
I'm
and black
saying
at the
that they
same
exist
time.
as the same thing. Yeah, so existing as the same thing can be applied to a natural aspect. So it can exist within the nature of a skin color, like the concept of skin color. The nature of something governs an ideal, which is a concept. So therefore, we could say the nature of something is gonna be governed by like natural change. We could say that natural change exists within the nature of something. So the nature of skin color to be one skin could be changed through its nature. So that's logically conceivable. A concept like that is logically
Yeah,
conceivable
that's
through
not what
nature.
I'm arguing. I'm not
You're
saying
basically
anything
arguing.
about
No,
like
no, no, no,
skin
no.
color
You literally
changing.
are arguing
I'm
this. You're
saying that
arguing this.
it's
This
like
is
both
retarded,
white
bro.
and
Hold on,
black
hold on, hold
at
on,
the
hold on.
same time.
Yeah, no,
Can
no,
you
no, no, no,
imagine
no, no,
something
no,
like
no,
that?
no, 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 no,
I'm
no, no,
giving
no,
an
no.
example of
No,
like
no, 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 no.
illogicality.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the
What?
thing, though.
What?
What you're arguing is basically saying that you can't be like two different skin colors at the same time because you just asked me, can you be two different skin colors at the same time? What I'm asserting is that
I'm
through the natural
asking you
aspect of it.
to imagine it.
Okay,
I'm
I literally
asking
just
you to
imagined it.
imagine it.
Yeah, you can
I mean,
imagine
can
that. What are you
I
talking
mean,
about?
can
You
you
can imagine that.
imagine? I'm asking you, can you imagine someone that's like both black and white at the same time?
Oh, we can like imagine that. That's literally
Like,
under a
like,
logical
well,
framework.
you just went like yapping about like naturalism and changing or whatever.
Yeah, logical change because that applies to the nature of skin color. You're basically saying that like, can you imagine that they exist as the same as two different skin color types at the same time? You can imagine that because it's literally in a logical framework such as ontology. What are you talking about? Because the nature of that said thing can change like that.
Ontology is like the framework and like study of being.
It's also the study of nature. What are you talking about? It's not just the study of being. So we can apply that
And
said
nature
being
of being,
can have a nature. It's
specifically.
gonna have a nature.
Everything
You,
has a nature.
okay, so therefore we could say it
Otherwise,
undergoes an
anything has
ontological
a nature.
change. You basically just like agree to the fact that it could go through a natural cause and change. And the effect of that cause within that change is gonna be the nature of a being under being like
Nigga,
physically.
this literally has nothing to do with my question. Bro,
Yes, it does, bro. Because that's logically conceivable. You're asking me if we can imagine something like that. Yes, we can
you're
because
saying,
it's under a logical
wait, you're
framework.
saying that the study of being is limited to logic?
Okay, so what's illogical about that said thing?
It's like a contradiction of something being like two things at the same time.
Yeah, that's logically conceivable. What are you talking about? Because if we just say like two opposing statements, it's still not a true contradiction. It's not like a true logicality. So it's gonna be under like logic. Would you like to concede at this point?
Wait, what?
I
Okay,
asked if
so
you want to concede because you're
you're
not
saying
tracking.
that, no, I'm talking. So you're basically like saying that we can still define it within like logic. Okay, I think I get the point now.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say is that something like that still goes under a logical framework, such as ontology.
Okay, I
Ontology
got
has
your point.
logical frameworks, so it could still go under that. Is what I'm trying to explain. It can exist under the same time, under the nature of something. That's what I'm trying to suggest, and you just got that point.
Okay, I get it. So like, are there any more points we can go more over or something?
So, do you have any contentions to what I'm saying, though?
So like so far, from what I understand, you're basically arguing that like Superman like can manipulate truth values, and that like he
Oh, what I'm
gets a
explaining
victory.
is that no, what I'm explaining is that since we can infer from the previous points, Superman exists within a logical framework and he's above truth and false values. Therefore, if one has more probability than the other, say for example, like I gave your character beats mine, and like for example, I already gave justification and reasoning for why Superman would be above that said probability in value. Those probability and values wouldn't necessarily matter to him because he's above them. They're just an ontological aspect of him, which doesn't matter because he's not contingent upon those.
Okay, I guess I agree with this.
So you concede to my point?
I guess I'll concede to this point.
So you could begin now. You could begin.
Okay.
Okay, so what's going to be the basis for your position?
Wait, I'm looking like through my scans. Wait. So basically, my proposition is that like my character like created like the metaphysical concept of like causality, so he would have power over like all causal relations, like all relations between like claims across like all possible worlds.
I'm just gonna put this in the question. Why would my character be like under these frameworks of possibilities?
I mean,
Why
you
would he be
agree
under
that
them?
your character is like under propositions, like you agree
Uh,
that he's
I never agreed that he was under like propositions. What I said is that he's above all truth values of said proposition. So basically, since you already conceded to my scale last point, your proposition has a truth and false value. We can say the truth value of your character doing this to him, or why he would be under these frameworks. We can already say he's already going to be above them, and they're just going to be an ontological aspect which he isn't contingent upon. We could say via this he just wins with absolute victory. You already gave no contingent and conceded to the last point, which I already explained. So he wouldn't be like affected by any of this. He would just still win. Oh, would you want to proceed? Proceed? Like refute or something? Botanical random, you there?
Okay, so basically you're saying that like my character is like bound by propositions, so your character can manipulate it. That's basically what you're saying.
saying he's above the truth and false values, which is going to lean towards probability. I already explained why he's above said things, which you conceded to the last point. So your proposition falls under these said values, which you already conceded to the fact Superman was above these said values. Therefore, he isn't affected by the cause or basically value of your proposition. He's going to be above it either way and still win.
Yo.
Yo, what's good, D&D? Who's debating right now?
Who's debating?
Me and Hex.
Alright, what's the topic?
Oh, it's Superman versus it's a character he did. I took Superman. By the way, I just had like a debate with Madoka-ism. He hasn't responded since.
Oh, like you won?
Yeah, because he didn't justify how I lost. He asserted that I lost. He couldn't justify it.
Type shit.
Alright, so any refutations, Hex? Because you conceded to the last point, I already explained why this wouldn't work on him within a said proposition. Because propositions have truth value and false value, and they fall under a prescriptive scenario, which is basically what would be more likely or not likely the case, which would be a false or truth value, as I already asserted.
Okay.
You already conceded. Okay,
again.
so you agree? You concede then?
I mean, I agree with your scale. And
You already agreed to that fact, so your proposition has a truth and false value, as you already asserted it to be a proposition. So since said values lean on probability to be more likely or not likely the case, which is going to be a truth or false value within rational reasoning and justification, which makes up the totality of said thing, you already agreed to Superman being above those things. Therefore, the truth and false values are just an ontological property of Superman, and therefore he isn't contingent upon
I guess
them.
I'll concede then.
Seiba the Chud winning.